Granholm, two questions. You're sounding the alarm about HR 21, but let's say it did pass in both the House and the Senate, and for whatever reason the President didn't veto it.
That's a big assumption.
I know it is, but as you're sounding the alarm,
Yeah.
and we've seen some of the highest gas prices we've ever seen in this country. If HR 21 were to pass and be signed into law by the President, what would it look like at the pump for the average American?
Prices would go up because we would have lost this tool.
But how high? I mean,
Well, it's hard to know because we don't know the circumstances around it. We don't know what would be the reason for actually exercising an additional action at the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But know this, prices would go up because we don't have this tool. And again, it's always in response to an emergency like war or like, an extreme weather event. We do know that taking that tool off the table would harm the American family.
And lastly, the second question, when the President did release the strategic oil reserves and the million-day gallons came out, or barrels, whatever.
Million barrels.
Yeah, forget the numbers. But in the midst of that, there were some communities that felt the relief. Other communities did not, particularly those in urban areas. There was price gouging, et cetera. Could you talk about that? Because we're still this could actually happen again at some point. And could you explain why there was such a difference in communities with gas prices in one community versus the other?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely differences in terms of infrastructure across the country. And so some rural areas, for example, or some who might be at the very end of a line, or may not even have a line, that may get it trucked in, it takes longer and it's more expensive. If you're not near a refinery, that's another reason why the transportation costs are tacked on at the pump. So you're seeing, for example, when refineries go down in regions, then the prices go up in those regions much more than they would nationwide. So a lot of it depends on local infrastructure.
Specifically the urban areas, because there was still a big pinch in urban areas with these gas prices when the outlying communities, particularly majority white communities, were seeing the drop to $3, and many of these urban areas were seeing $4 and $5 gas prices. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, here's what I would say is that obviously gas station owners are often owned by individuals. Most of them are not part of the branded oil companies. Most of them are owned by individuals. And so if an individual is taking advantage in a region, that is something that, for sure, I know I did when I was an attorney general, state attorney general should go after, because gouging is illegal. You cannot take advantage of a crisis to jack up prices in that way. So we encourage local law enforcement to really get on it, because that should not be happen absent some other infrastructure lack that might cause prices to go up.